Welcome back to the show. This is Wing RICO, the single boyfriend. You know, there's a saying that the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Offering people free rent, free water, free electricity, free food is not something that you can take away once it's given to them because they become permanently dependent. This is not going to help these people. This is going to make things worse because once you start doing this, there is no stopping. And then when you do stop, it's going to be such a major rug pull, it could just destroy you politically. So, what they're going to do is they're going to have to protest to keep receiving all these free subsidies from the local government. This is one of the worst things you can do for certain people. In society, women were the only ones known for being dependents, but now they're offering to make grown men dependents as well because you're offering this type of rent relief for everyone. Free food, free rent. You don't have to pay water bills. Don't they remember what happened during the lockdowns for the scamdemic? I'm from LA. It lasted for years. And do you know what happened? One day they just all of a sudden turned bills back on. Do you know what kind of hell we've had to experience in Los Angeles? Do you know how much robbery and death and murder and crime skyrocketed when all of a sudden bills turned back on? You know, to try to disrupt that symbiotic relationship between the landlord and tenant, it's unhealthy because everything that they're offering is for the tenants, but there's no relief intended for the landlords. In a way, this is another form of land grab. This is another way of doing legal eminent domain because if you're not paying your rent, then your landlord can't pay their mortgage. Then eventually they're going to lose the property. And guess who's going to be there to scoop it up? Take a listen to the mayor of Atlanta, Andre Dickens. He's announcing that this is a SNAP crisis. Instead of him asking, why are so many of my citizens dependent on SNAP? Now they're saying they want to come up with solutions to help mitigate the damage done by not having your free subsidies, which is completely anti and un American to begin with. Let's take a listen.
Because of this federal lapse and to protect residents with their basic needs. The city is mobilizing what I call the group project, as always, and using every available resource, that's public resources, private and nonprofit resources, to ensure that families have access to food, water, and essential services. No resident, none, should go hungry or wonder how they'll feed their family because of political gridlock. Therefore, earlier today, I issued an administrative order directing the following actions. The commissioner of the Department of Watershed Management will refrain from terminating the water services of any residential watershed management customer due to non-payment from today through January 31st, 2026. The Atlanta Housing Authority, Atlanta Beltline Incorporated, Fulton County, the City of Atlanta Land Bank Authority, Invest Atlanta, Partners for Home, and the City of Atlanta's Department of Grants and Community Development are called upon to institute a temporary moratorium on residential evictions and filings in city-owned, city-sponsored, and funded housing units and housing developments, also through January 31st of 2026. These entities subject to this order are instructed not to permit the issuance notices of termination or initiate evictions for non-payment of rent, and not to permit the imposition of late fees or other charges due to late or non-payment of rent during the term of this order.
You cannot do that. You cannot tell people that they do not have to pay their rent for the next 3 months. And then when that 3 months is up, what are you going to do? Tell them they're going to have to pay back rent, or what you're going to, or you're going to negotiate with the landlords where you're going to let them put the rent that they've owed since November, December, January. You're going to let them put that on the end of their lease. Or what do you plan on doing? Coming up with some kind of program like we had in Los Angeles where you're going to promise that there's going to be a repayment where you're going to give the money to the landlords directly if they can show damages. For some of these landlords, it'll be too late. For some of these people, it'll be outside the amount of time permitted before they're going to go into foreclosure. There are certain, if you're talking about low income people, you can't give them help and then stop. These are people that have been on SNAP for 30 to 50 years. They are 4 to 5 familial generations into government dependence. It's a shame that you have a capitalist society in the United States that has to subsidize a communist utopia for certain people. By a communist utopia, I mean we subsidize their rent, we subsidize their food, we subsidize their child care, but and they call themselves our enemies. They see us as being antithetical. Yet here we are paying for this lifestyle. Mr. Andre Dickens, where's the money going to come from to pay the back rent of tens of thousands of people that are going to take advantage of this? This is Atlanta, a predominantly black community. Culturally, black Americans are inherently communist anyway. This is Martin Luther King's dream to turn self-sufficient black men who were working and taking care of their families into permanent dependence upon the state, reintroducing them into slavery. By slavery, I mean you exchange your freedom for free stuff. Because as long as somebody has the freedom to feed you, they also have the freedom to starve you. So as long as somebody can control, as long as someone's going to be giving you assistance on your housing, they can also make sure that you're eventually going to be homeless. This never ends. There is no end in sight for these types of programs. So it's pointless to even start them. Now, if you can look through history, the past 50 years, to see how these social programs work, and they all end the same. None of these people eventually say, you know what? I'm making enough money now. I no longer need the food stamps. I no longer need the discount on my housing. I no longer need the free rent. That literally never happens. So why would you do this? Why would you offer this? You know, it's weird. In Los Angeles, they're saying that, oh, because we lost because of Trump and ICE, we're going to give away free rent and turn off the bills, and then that way the landlords go bankrupt. But then in another city like Atlanta, because of SNAP, we're going to go ahead and turn off the rent so the landlords can go bankrupt. It's like in these certain big cities, they're looking for any excuse they can to bankrupt the owners so that the state can become the landlords, which is communism. When you no longer have the freedom to own your own property, or you don't have the freedom to evict people out of your property, the state now controls the means of production. They control what you do with your property. Now you're removing property ownership and property rights protections, which is pretty much one of the main hallmarks of what makes the United States so appealing to investors. That somebody can't from the government can't just come in and take your property and tell you what you're going to do with it. I think it's our Fourth Amendment where you can't provide just free housing. It used to be for soldiers, but you can't just take away someone's property and offer free housing to others at their expense. But he knows his community is going to support any and everything free. There's not going to be anyone that's going to repay this back rent. They're not going to repay those water bills, those electricity bills. Those bills are never going to get paid back. So why are you offering to give this to these people for free? And the only thing I can see is that he wants to buy your vote. That's how it works. And I'm seeing this in all these different cities and all these different states. Even Manzani, He wants to buy your vote by saying, I'm going to pay for your free buses. I'm going to do a rent freeze on the housing. It's all the same thing. And that's the problem with that's the biggest issue I had with the lockdown is that it gave Americans a taste of communism, and a lot of Americans liked it. Yes, I know it's appealing. Not having to work, free housing, free food. They can't turn off your utilities if you don't pay your bills. It sounds great. But what did they ask you to do? They ask you to follow the mandates. They ask you to vote for certain people. And now everyone around you is sick and passing, and you're wondering why. Your compliance is mandatory for those programs. I keep trying to remind people you can vote yourself into communism. You'll never be able to vote yourself out. This will never end, unfortunately.
ATO Cares is being implemented in partnership with the Atlanta Community Food Bank, Gooder Community Market, who you'll hear from both of them soon, Hosea Helps, and a host of local community organizations, faith leaders, and volunteers. And like I said, we will hear from two of these partners very soon. We selected each of these partners for the unique support they bring to the table. First, the Atlanta Community Food Bank's network of suppliers and distribution centers reaches people at every corner of our region. With over 150 distribution locations across Atlanta, we could not serve communities without their infrastructure and their expertise.
This is so damaging for the Black community to even give people the option to give up on life and just let the government take care of you. It's way too appealing, but it's addictive. There is no kicking this. Look at these are people that their families have been on these programs since the 70s and they've never been able to get off. A long line of losers. Everyone in your family, everyone who could is still taking the benefits and reaping the rewards of state sanctioned housing, food programs. This is not just for, hard times in between jobs. This is not it. This is abuse. These programs are supposed to be for seniors and for temporarily for single mothers who couldn't find work, or you're not supposed to be 400 pounds because you are gorging yourself and obese from this. And this is just making it worse. This is enabling the worst type of behavior, the most irresponsible and poor decisions. This is enabling them. Again, these types of programs you can never stop because they're gonna crucify him if he tries to turn it off. He's gonna have to fight. So January 2026 is going to go through the spring, or let's say they're going to say it's going to go through the end of second quarter, then September, then through December again, and then they're going to have a new. The next date's going to be February 2027. In 20, it will never end. And guess what? All those people that want to get that free housing, free food, they all know who they got to vote for to butter their bread. Everybody should see the play by now. We should all know what's coming. That's why people are saying, oh, you're being insensitive because you're against this. No, I'm insensitive because I know what this is about. And it's not because these people just care about making sure you're good. They need your votes. They need your compliance. And you can buy them easily by just offering them free stuff. But you're making them weaker. You as a person, if you're out of work for 5 years and not paying bills, it's damn near impossible to all of a sudden get back into the routine of being responsible, paying bills, and going to work. That's why the best advice and the best course of action is to never stop providing for yourself in the first place. Becoming dependent upon the government, it's literally akin to slavery. I thought that's what the community hated, but they run towards it. First chance they get, first offer they get, they take it, and they don't want to think about the consequences. None of these people are using foresight. They're only thinking about tomorrow. But what about 6 months from now? The more people you have dependent on social services, the bad the community gets, because there's no pride in ownership. There's no pride in anything because it's all free. Nothing's earned. Because you didn't earn it, you don't respect it. You don't appreciate it. This is a horrible idea. And whoever this guy is, whoever's pushing him to do this, they have a bigger plan in mind, and it's obvious. And all these people standing around him, and nobody's thinking, you know what, this is a horrible. So everyone just wants to scam. Everyone wants to scam the system. Everyone wants to get over. Nobody wants to be responsible. It's a shame. Yeah, this isn't going to end good. There is no end in sight. There's no turning bills back on once you turn them off, unless you're going to see what we had in California, which is evictions by the hundreds of thousands. But see, we have the population where our city could deal with it, and we still haven't recovered, but we could handle it a little bit. A city like Atlanta, they're going to go under. They're going to have to beg the government to save them. There's no way they can afford free everything, because the people that are still paying rent, they're going to be like, well, why am I paying rent but my neighbors aren't? How's that fair? How's that equal? Now you're going to have to do it for everyone. Now you're only going to have 10% of the building paying their rent. So then how's the landlord going to pay the mortgage? And no one's considering this. No one. He's not offering anything for property owners. Everything's for the tenants, because the tenants outnumber the property owners, and he needs their votes and he needs their support. I'm telling you, this is a communist takeover in the United States, and it's happening right now in front of us. And again, it's all being masked or disguised as good intentions, and it's nothing of the sort. Do me a favor, leave a comment. Let me know if you agree or disagree. I'll be back on and we'll go over some other topics. But this is horrible. This is coming to a city near you. You should be proud and happy to work and provide for yourself. The easy way out is this is the road to hell. It's not going to work. I'll be back shortly with another video. Thank you.